I thought I knew every trick to keep a kitchen spotless, until the day I saw ants marching across Helen's counters, right where she kept her fruit. She cleaned every morning, wiped every surface, yet something tiny, almost invisible, was quietly sabotaging her home. My heart sank. How could pests invade a kitchen that looked so perfect? That moment opened my eyes. It's not just about wiping down surfaces. Hidden habits, ordinary items we think are harmless, can quietly invite pests into our homes, and seniors are especially vulnerable. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 7 things most seniors over 65 unknowingly leave on their counters that attract pests, plus simple, actionable ways to reclaim your space and peace of mind. By the end, you'll see how small changes, the way you store fruit, bread, sugar, pet treats, medications, towels, even decorative jars, can stop infestations before they start. And I'll share the one item that completely shocked me. It's so ordinary you'd never suspect it could hide eggs or attract roaches. If you've ever battled ants, fruit flies, or mysterious pests, hit that like button below. It only takes a second, and it helps more seniors discover these life-saving kitchen habits. Subscribe and tap the bell to follow along with stories and tips that make aging simpler, safer, and smarter. Now, comment below, where did you find pests in your kitchen? I read every story, and you'll be surprised. Sometimes the tiniest things cause the biggest problems. Stick with me, because what you're about to see may completely change the way you look at your counters forever. Item 1. The Fruit Bowl Trap. Helen, 72, a retired librarian, loved order, neat bookshelves, color-coded files, and a perfectly arranged kitchen counter. At the center of it sat her pride, a large, gleaming fruit bowl overflowing with apples, bananas, and ripe avocados. If it's visible, I'll reach for fruit instead of cookies, she often said with a proud smile. It wasn't just a bowl of produce, it was a symbol of her discipline and care. But one humid morning, as she lifted a banana, she noticed tiny white specks underneath. Then movement. Fruit fly eggs. Dozens of them. Her stomach turned. Within days, the clean, citrus-scented kitchen she loved had become a battlefield of buzzing pests. She called pest control, spent $120 that month, and still couldn't shake the feeling that something so innocent had betrayed her. That was her turning point. She realized the very habit meant to encourage health had quietly invited chaos. She started keeping only a day's worth of fruit visible, just enough to enjoy, never to forget. Everything else went into the fridge, tucked safely away from warm air and watchful flies. There's a hidden psychology here. Visual cues can backfire when overused. The more we see, the more we forget. That overflowing bowl becomes background noise, and what was meant to remind us of healthy choices turns into a blind spot for decay. Now Helen rotates her fruit daily and lines her bowl with a paper towel to absorb moisture, a small trick that makes a huge difference. She even discovered that tomatoes, avocados, and onions, though often treated like fruit, release gases that speed up spoilage when kept together. So, if you've ever battled those stubborn little fruit flies or felt betrayed by your own good habits, type fruit trap in the comments. You might be surprised how many of us have learned this lesson the hard way. Because sometimes, the things we keep in sight are the very ones quietly stealing our peace. Item 2. Bread baskets and pastry domes. Mr. Lewis, 77, had spent decades cherishing small rituals that reminded him of family and warmth. Every morning, the smell of freshly baked bread rolls or muffins wafting from his kitchen brought comfort, especially after losing his wife a few years ago. To preserve that feeling, he kept a woven bread basket on the counter, lined with a soft cloth, where leftover rolls and pastries rested overnight. They stay soft for breakfast, he'd say to himself, believing he was maintaining freshness and continuity in his life. One evening, while preparing his usual toast, Mr. Lewis noticed a faint movement under the cloth liner. Curiosity turned to horror as he discovered tiny roaches nesting beneath the folds. His heart sank. All those warm memories, all the care he'd taken, were now linked to an unwelcome infestation. He spent hours, and an entire day, throwing out his pantry items in disgust and frustration, realizing that what he thought was a harmless, comforting habit had created a hidden problem in his home. This moment was pivotal. Mr. Lewis finally understood that keeping bread visible and loosely covered, especially overnight, was a vulnerability. It wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a risk to his health and hygiene. That very day, he invested in sealed glass jars, carefully storing each type of baked good, labeling them with the date, and freezing anything not eaten within 24 hours. The result? Not only were pests eliminated, but he could finally enjoy his morning ritual without anxiety. There's a deeper psychology here. Bread, pastries, and even donuts carry emotional weight. They are symbols of comfort, family, and care, which makes it hard for seniors to let go or store them out of sight. That emotional connection can unintentionally keep hazards right in plain view. By reframing the habit, seeing storage as protection rather than restriction, Mr. Lewis reclaimed both his kitchen and his peace of mind. Varieties of this trap are common. Leftover biscuits in a tin, open cookie jars, muffins in paper bags. The key lesson: seal or freeze baked goods within 24 hours, use airtight containers, and always label with dates to stay ahead of spoilage and pests. A small insider trick: placing a thin layer of parchment paper at the bottom of your jar absorbs extra moisture and keeps baked goods fresher for longer. If this story hits home, type bread mess in the comments. You'll be surprised how many of us have unknowingly let comfort turn into a pest problem. Because sometimes, preserving memories the wrong way can quietly invite trouble right into the heart of your kitchen. Item 3. Coffee and sugar canisters. Martha, 68, treasured her mornings like a sacred ritual. The sun would filter through her kitchen window as she brewed her first cup of coffee, the rich aroma filling the room and signaling the start of her day. For decades, she kept her sugar canister wide open beside the coffee maker. Convenient, comforting, and part of the rhythm she had perfected over years. "It's just me," she'd mutter, stirring in sugar with ease. No harm in keeping it handy. It was a simple habit, one she never questioned, until the ants arrived. At first, it was a faint trail, barely noticeable, stretching from the corner of the counter to the open sugar jar. Then, one morning, she noticed the perfect, precise line of tiny black ants marching into the sugar like an organized army. Martha's heart sank. Every day became a micro-battle, wiping away ants, trying to keep her pristine counter clean, yet feeling powerless against the relentless intruders. Her carefully orchestrated morning routine, a source of comfort, had become a daily frustration and a hidden health hazard. The revelation was both shocking and enlightening. Convenience had a hidden cost. The very habit meant to make her life easier was quietly inviting pests into her home. That was the turning point. Martha immediately invested in airtight jars for sugar, coffee grounds, creamer, and flavored syrups. Everything was sealed, labeled, and relocated slightly away from heat and moisture sources. Within days, the ants disappeared, and her morning ritual returned to being a peaceful, joyful experience rather than a daily nuisance. There's a psychology behind this trap that resonates with many seniors. Routines become blinders. When you repeat the same actions every day, small changes and creeping clutter can go unnoticed. A line of ants, a bit of spilled sugar, or a forgotten lid can quietly grow into a larger problem before you even realize it. Visual cues, habits, and convenience can betray the very order we work so hard to maintain. 4 varieties of this mistake. Consider open creamer containers, sugar substitutes, or even syrup bottles left at counter height. Each can attract ants or other pests if not properly sealed. A simple insider trick: sprinkle cinnamon near corners, along the counter edges, or at junction points. Ants instinctively avoid it, and it acts as a natural, non-toxic barrier. The lesson Martha learned is simple but powerful. Store dry goods sealed, away from heat, and rotate frequently. Small adjustments in daily routines create big changes in kitchen hygiene, pest prevention, and mental peace. If you've ever had ants invading your morning coffee ritual, type morning ants in the comments. You'll realize you're not alone, and that sometimes, the tiniest habits can have the biggest consequences in keeping a calm, clean kitchen. Item 4. Pet treat containers. Clara, 70, had always considered her 2 rescued cats more than pets, they were family. Every morning, she would reach for the open container of cat treats she kept on the kitchen counter. They remind me to feed them, she said softly, stroking her tabby's fur as she poured a few morsels into a bowl. It was a simple routine, born out of love and the worry that she might forget a feeding, especially on hectic mornings. The treats sat in plain sight, convenient and comforting, until the day she noticed something unsettling. Tiny chew marks appeared along the edge of the container, and little droppings had collected near the base. At first, Clara dismissed it. Surely it was a stray crumb or a visitor from the yard. But then she realized the real culprit: mice. They had invaded the space behind her coffee maker, attracted by the open pet treats she had left out for convenience. The sight of the infestation left her shocked, frustrated, and embarrassed. Her morning ritual, meant to care for her beloved cats, had unintentionally invited a hidden danger into her home. That was the turning point. Clara immediately transferred all pet treats into airtight tubs, labeling each one with the feeding time for the day. She stored the containers in a low pantry shelf, completely off the counters, eliminating the easy access that had enticed the mice. Within a few days, the signs of infestation disappeared, and Clara felt a renewed sense of control over her kitchen. Her cats were still fed on schedule, but now her home was safe, clean, and calm. The psychology behind this is surprisingly common among seniors: convenience mixed with guilt. We leave things in plain sight because we don't want to forget, and emotional attachment to caregiving routines can override practical safety measures. That simple act of leaving treats accessible seemed harmless, yet it quietly invited chaos. This same scenario can play out in many ways: dog biscuits left in an open tin, birdseed spilled on a counter, or fish food sitting by the sink. All create invisible invitations for pests. The actionable lesson is clear: always seal pet food, store it off the counters, and use clear labels to maintain your feeding schedule. A small pro tip: airtight tubs not only protect against pests but also keep food fresher longer, saving money and frustration. If you've ever experienced a sneaky pet food invasion, type Pet Corner in the comments. You're not alone, and learning to store treats properly is a simple step that can prevent months of hidden stress while keeping both your pets and your home safe. Remember when I said one thing shocked even me? I thought Helen's breadbasket was the problem, all those rolls and pastries left out, until I noticed a small stack of unopened mail beside her toaster. Something about it caught my eye, so I lifted the top envelope. And that's when I saw it. Cockroaches had laid eggs in the folds of the paper. I froze. Something so ordinary, so innocent, had been quietly undermining weeks of careful cleaning. I can't believe this, I whispered to myself, my heart sinking. I realized immediately how easy it is to overlook hidden clutter. The technician later confirmed what I suspected. 47% of pest infestations actually start with paper or cardboard. They trap heat, crumbs, and grease, a perfect nesting zone. He even mentioned he'd seen this exact scenario in 3 homes just that week. I felt a mix of shock and frustration. Weeks of cleaning and organizing had been sabotaged by something we all thought was harmless. That moment changed everything. I helped Helen sort her mail daily, recycle unnecessary items immediately, and store the must-keep documents in sealed bins off the counters. Within days, the pests disappeared, and her kitchen finally felt peaceful again. The lesson is clear: keeping counters clean isn't just about what you leave out to eat, it's also about what you leave behind. Even small, overlooked clutter can quietly invite pests into your home. If this revelation surprises you as much as it did me, type mail mess in the comments. Sometimes the most ordinary items in your home hold hidden dangers, and small, intentional changes can make a huge difference in protecting your kitchen and your peace of mind. Item 5. Medicine and vitamin trays. The pill organizer sat open beside the sink, a daily reminder she couldn't ignore. Tiny gnats hovered nearby, and some pills were softening from moisture, threatening to lose their effectiveness. She had always been diligent about her health, especially after recovering from surgery. This was Gloria, 75, carefully following every instruction from her doctor. "If I see it, I won't forget," she had told herself, confident that visibility meant safety. At first, the routine worked perfectly. Doses were never missed, and the tray gave her a sense of control. But over time, the counter meant to keep her organized quietly became a hazard. What she thought was helping her maintain health was actually attracting pests and risking the quality of her medications. The turning point came when she noticed the gnats hovering persistently and realized some pills were clumping. She decided to store the pill organizer in a sealed cabinet, away from the sink and humidity, and rely on a daily phone alarm to remind her of doses. Within days, the gnats disappeared, and her medications stayed dry and intact. Gloria felt relief and regained confidence in her health routine. Psychologically, visibility often feels like safety, but it can create hidden vulnerabilities. Vitamin bottles left open, weekly trays on counters, or supplements scattered in plain sight all invite similar risks. The lesson is clear: keep medications sealed, dry, and out of sight, and use reminders that don't compromise safety. If you've ever had a pill tray or vitamin bottle attract unwanted visitors, type pill check in the comments. Small changes like sealing and relocating medications can prevent hidden hazards, protect your health, and bring peace of mind every day. Item 6. Dish towels and sponges. A damp dish towel draped over the edge of the sink might seem harmless. After all, it will dry by morning, right? For Sam, 69, a retired engineer who prided himself on efficiency, this was routine. Towels and sponges were left out for convenience, a small shortcut in an otherwise meticulous kitchen. He believed that by leaving them overnight, he could handle them later without consequence. At first, it appeared harmless. The towels looked dry in the morning, and the sponge sat quietly by the sink. But over time, Sam noticed a faint, musty smell creeping through the kitchen, and when he inspected the sink area, his stomach sank. Mold had begun forming along the edges of the countertop, and tiny fruit flies buzzed persistently near the damp cloths. What he thought was a small, manageable habit had quietly created a hotspot for pests and damage. The consequences were severe. Sam ended up having to re-caulk the entire sink area, a costly and frustrating repair he hadn't anticipated. The turning point came when he realized that convenience had blinded him to the hidden dangers of dampness. He implemented a new routine. Towels were hung on a rack or oven handle to air dry overnight, and sponges were microwaved daily to eliminate lingering bacteria and moisture. He also set a reminder to replace sponges weekly and keep dishcloths rotated, ensuring the kitchen stayed safe and hygienic. Psychologically, this pattern is common. Efficiency often overrides awareness. Small shortcuts, leaving towels or mop heads damp, putting cleaning rags aside just for now, feel harmless, but they create perfect conditions for mold, bacteria, and pests to thrive. This scenario also plays out in various ways. Mop heads left in buckets, kitchen cloths balled up in drawers, or sponges left wet near drains. All seem convenient but quietly invite problems. The lesson is simple but critical. Replace sponges weekly, dry towels nightly, and maintain airflow wherever possible. A hanging rack or even an oven handle provides enough space for cloths to dry, preventing moisture from accumulating and stopping pests before they start. If you've ever left a damp towel or sponge out and later discovered a mold or pest problem, type dry zone in the comments. These small, intentional habits can protect your kitchen, save you from costly repairs, and ensure your cooking space remains safe and healthy every day. Item 7. Decorative jars and fake fruit displays. A bright bowl of plastic fruit and a few open potpourri jars sitting on the kitchen counter can make a space feel cheerful and inviting. For Evelyn, 73, a retired art teacher with a love for aesthetics, this was her way of bringing warmth and personality into her kitchen. They make the kitchen look inviting, she often said, arranging her fake apples and dried flowers with care. She enjoyed the nostalgia and the sense of beauty these little displays brought from another era. At first, everything seemed fine. The colors were vibrant, the scents pleasant, and her kitchen felt alive. But over time, Evelyn noticed tiny dust particles gathering inside the open jars, and on closer inspection, small spider webs had formed among the artificial fruit. Morning sniffles turned into mild sinus flare-ups, and Evelyn began to realize that these decorative items, though harmless in appearance, were quietly inviting allergens and pests into her space. What she believed was purely aesthetic had unintended consequences for her health. The turning point came when Evelyn decided it was time to rethink her approach to kitchen decor. She swapped the open jars and fake fruit for sealed glass vases and closed containers, keeping the beauty she loved without exposing herself to dust mites or hidden spiders. She also established a routine to clean or refresh decorative items every 2 weeks, preventing buildup and reducing allergens. Adding bay leaves or lavender sachets became her secret weapon, a natural deterrent to any lingering pests, while keeping the space fragrant and visually pleasing. Psychologically, this situation is common among seniors. Nostalgia and the desire to create a warm, inviting home can override awareness of small, hidden risks. Open cookie jars, spice bowls, dried floral arrangements, or other decorative displays often harbor dust, allergens, or tiny pests, all while feeling perfectly safe and charming. The lesson is clear. Decorative items can enhance your home, but only if maintained carefully. Refresh, clean, or seal them regularly, and consider natural pest deterrents like bay leaves or lavender. By doing so, you preserve the beauty and warmth you cherish while protecting your health and keeping your kitchen truly inviting. If this sounds familiar, type fake fruit in the comments. Small adjustments to how we display and care for decor can prevent hidden hazards, improve air quality, and ensure our kitchens remain both beautiful and safe every day. Here are 3 bonus secrets I want to share. Lessons I've learned the hard way while helping seniors keep their kitchens truly pest-free. These aren't just tips. They're small habits that completely transformed the way my friends and clients live in their homes. Secret 1. The 24-hour rule. Every night, Mr. Lewis, 77, made it a ritual to clear every last bit of food from his counters, wipe down surfaces, and seal jars. At first, it felt tedious, but within 48 hours, the persistent ants and fruit flies disappeared. The rule was simple: no food left out beyond 24 hours, yet it made a massive difference. Beyond keeping pests away, he saved about $100 a month on pest control and spoiled food. This small nightly discipline turned his kitchen from a hidden battlefield into a calm, inviting space. Secret TWO, the two-surface system. Gloria, 75, discovered a clever approach while reorganizing her kitchen. Dedicate one counter strictly for prep and another for display or temporary placement. The key: one surface must always remain clear. At first, she resisted, missing the freedom to spread out items, but soon she realized the mental relief it brought. Her kitchen felt twice as open, prep work became effortless, and decorative items no longer created hidden hazards. The two-surface system created a subtle rhythm, balancing functionality and beauty, giving her mornings a sense of calm and control she hadn't realized she was missing. Secret 3. The night reset habit. Clara, 70, a devoted cat mom, developed a ritual she called the night reset. Every evening before bed, she wiped counters with a vinegar solution, replaced pet treats in sealed containers, and ensured nothing was left out that could attract pests. Initially, it seemed excessive, but soon she noticed profound results. No ants, no gnats, and a sparkling kitchen every morning. The rule was simple: clean, clear, reset before bed, yet it went beyond pest control. Her mornings became calmer, predictable, and emotionally peaceful. This habit gave her a sense of mastery over her environment and reduced stress. These 3 bonus secrets: removing food within 24 hours, maintaining a two-surface system, and performing a nightly reset, do more than keep pests away. They restore peace, confidence, and control in daily life. Small consistent actions like these transform a kitchen from a source of frustration into a sanctuary of calm and order. If any of these resonate with you, try one tonight and notice the difference tomorrow. A small step toward a cleaner, calmer, and more confident daily life. After walking through each of the 7 hidden counter habits, from fruit bowls and bread baskets to sugar jars, pet treats, medications, damp towels, and decorative jars, Helen decided it was time to put every lesson into practice. She cleared the counters, sealed jars, hung towels to dry, and set reminders for pills and pet treats. One by one, each small habit she had learned unfolded in her kitchen, transforming it from a subtle hotspot for pests into a calm, inviting space. The morning sunlight now glinted across her spotless counters. One crisp apple sat neatly in a small bowl, a quiet reminder of the simple changes that had restored order and peace. No ants tracing lines across surfaces, no roaches hiding in corners, no gnats hovering near damp cloths. Just calm, confidence, and a sense of control she hadn't realized she was missing. Looking back, each item told its own story. The fruit bowl taught moderation, the bread basket revealed hidden dangers, sugar jars reminded her of the risk of convenience, pet treats emphasized mindful storage, pill trays reinforced careful routines, damp towels and sponges showed the cost of shortcuts, and decorative jars highlighted unseen allergens. Together, these lessons created a rhythm of calm, showing that intentional small actions lead to lasting results. This isn't about perfection. It's about reclaiming peace and control in your home. Simple habits like clearing counters nightly, sealing jars, rotating towels, and maintaining one clear prep surface can transform your daily life. They turn a kitchen from a source of stress into a sanctuary. If this story resonated, hit like. It helps more seniors find freedom and calm in their kitchens. Subscribe for weekly stories and practical tips that make aging simpler, smarter, and more empowering. Comment below which of the 7 items surprised you most. Was it the fruit bowl, bread basket, or even those damp towels? And don't forget to share this with a friend who deserves a little kitchen peace. Remember, clean counters aren't about perfection, they're about calm, clarity, and control. Each small choice, every wiped surface, every organized jar is a step toward reclaiming serenity in your home. You've earned this peace, and now it's yours, one clear counter at a time. Take a deep breath, look around, and feel the quiet confidence that comes from living intentionally. Your kitchen, your mornings, and your day just became brighter, lighter, and a lot more peaceful.